Awakened Living is a 21st century movement for people who consider themselves spiritual but not religious, who have a deep hunger for connected community and a divine impulse for personal and global transformation. Our mission is to encourage and inspire the awakening of human consciousness. Good evening and welcome to Awakened Living Television. My name is TJ Woodward. I'm the Minister and Spiritual Director of Awakened Living in San Francisco. Welcome to our show and welcome to our newly redesigned studio for 2014. This is our first show of the year. It's February, and that means, in many of our minds, it means the month of love. So welcome to love. And at Awakened Living, our theme for February is open-hearted living, open-hearted loving. So our first guest for 2014 is such a perfect person to have here for this show. Brendan Neff-Hall is here, and he is I'm going to let him do a full introduction, but I know that he is the love therapist. So I'm going to get right to our conversation with Brendan. Brendan, welcome to our show. So grateful you're here.
Thank you.
And I know you have quite a story and a lot to tell us about open-hearted loving and open-hearted living.
Yes.
So you're just the perfect guest. I'm so grateful you're here.
Thanks.
For our first show of 2014.
It's great to be here.
Thank you. Yeah. And I know we met some time back, and you're someone that I really connected with immediately. Yes. And I know you're doing great work.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, thank you. So to start, let's take a few minutes, and why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, personally, if you'd like, your own journey, and I know we'll get more into that, but in particular, the work that you're doing now.
Sure. So, hi, everyone. My name is Brendan Neff-Hall, and I'm a relationship and couples counselor here in San Francisco. And I help singles and couples with relationship difficulties take the next step and find love again.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. And I know there's a lot of different directions we can go with this. I just want to start right out of the gate by asking you if you're willing to share a little bit about your own personal journey. I know a little bit about it in conversations we've had. I guess kind of what led you ultimately to the work you're doing now, but going back to when maybe you had that first spark or
Right.
that first idea, that divine idea for doing your work.
Right. Well, the beginning really for me was when I came out at 15. I was really blessed to have a loving and accepting family who supported me and helped me get involved with the LGBT Center. I grew up in upstate New York, so This was in Albany. And through there, I really started getting into activism. I connected with GLSEN, the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network, and was going around and touring in schools, doing workshops on harassment of queer kids. I was suffering with a lot of harassment throughout my whole school career, and it kind of started the spark of how exciting and meaningful it can be to go out there and be of service, to work for social justice. It just opened up this whole path for me, and yeah.
Wow, it's so interesting because it seems that in all of our stories, there have been these moments, and perhaps moments of great pain or frustration or sadness or difficulties that have ultimately brought us into doing our work. I know for myself, I had this huge experience once when I was in ministerial school where I had some real deep internalized homophobia that I didn't even know still existed within me.
Right.
And it just took being in the presence of this amazing person who gently invited me to look at something, and I just had this moment where my heart just broke open, literally.
That's
and
powerful.
Remembering how difficult it was being really tormented every day by people. So
Right.
How has that experience led you to not even your work, but just to the person you are today?
Great question. Well, I think being in the position I was, really experiencing marginalization and feeling like an outcast and being lonely and isolated, it was extremely difficult, and it made me turn inward. I mean, I literally was alone a lot, but through that experience and then into the coming out experience where I was getting a lot of support, those together, they just started a journey of reflecting this journey of personal development and being in community and being in conversation about things that were important to me. So for me, that whole time was a turning point in really awakening to the world and seeing things a lot differently than I did before.
Yeah. So what happened next? Like, what happened next in your journey? Where did you go from there? Because that's such it's such an amazing thing to me that at 15 you were beginning to do this and to
Right.
really, I think, make a stand for yourself. And I know for myself I did that in my own way, but I just applaud you for doing it in that way. And then where did you go from there? Like, what happened next?
So from there, I went to New York City. I did my undergrad in the Greenwich Village, did liberal arts education, but eventually decided that I wanted to get into teaching. So left there, came over to San Francisco, went to USF, and decided I would go into public school teaching. And the whole time, having a focus on social justice, knowing that was my life's work. That's what I wanted to be doing. And knowing that I wanted to be in community, and I loved working with children, and that was a job that I loved, right? But it also was making such a difference. So that was sort of the beginning, and then eventually decided that I wanted to work more with adults. So I left teaching and I went into coaching and started my own coaching business. And decided that I wanted to go further and actually get more education in psychotherapy and go on that journey. So it's been a long journey, but to come where I am now, it just feels like everything is coming together in this really beautiful way of still being of service, working for social justice, and doing something in the spirit of love and in helping healing relationships and transformation. It's amazing.
Wow, I know you and I have had a couple of conversations, in particular around gay men and finding a way for us to really find a community of people that are living from a really authentic and vulnerable place. And
Yes.
I get a sense from you that that's also the work you do with individual clients. And I'm
Absolutely.
wondering if you can speak. I guess I have a couple of different questions. One is, do you work exclusively with gay men, or do you find yourself working primarily with gay men? Is it a broad spectrum?
It's about half of my practice right now, but I don't work exclusively with gay men. It's sort of an area I say that I specialize in, that I have extra training, and I've done a lot of work around gay men's issues. So that's something I'm passionate about. But I have a lot of heterosexual clients, I have bisexual clients, I have a lot of different clients from different backgrounds that are coming in. And the primary groups that I'm working with, I name are singles and couples. Okay. So both of them, whether they be LGBT or straight, that they're coming in with a lot of relationship difficulties, and whether that's between them in a partnership or whether that's out in the dating scene, struggling, wanting a relationship.
And isn't it true that all of us are seeking love and connection?
Yes.
In one form or
Absolutely.
another.
Basic human needs.
Basic human needs. And I know you're doing great work in that area. So I'm wondering if we can switch gears a little bit to, a couple different things. I guess first would be, what would a client expect when they come see you? Because I know you're the love therapist, right?
Right.
So let's imagine, I'm a single person that's looking to connect, looking for, a soulmate, looking for a real connection, whether that's with a partner or with more love in my life in general, in my workplace. So what would I expect if I come see you, let's say for individual counseling?
Sure. Well, first I want to just say that it's different for everybody because people come in with different goals. And one of the things that's been really wonderful for me when I said everything has come together is that I have this whole past, right, as a teacher and then as a coach and now as a psychotherapist. And so I get to use all of that in the room. So I have clients that are coming in and they have a lot of dating trauma, or they have stuff that's happened in the past, a lot of hurt that they want to work through. So that's where psychotherapy comes in, where we're going to be doing some processing around that, or maybe we're looking at some stuff that happened early on with family that's really having a big impact in relationships now. But then there are some people that come to see me and they are wanting skills, right? They're coming, they're saying, I'm really excited about coaching or relationship counseling. I want to know about that because I'm out there and I can't find Mr. Right, or I'm going on one terrible date after another, and I don't understand why. And so they actually want some more support around getting a plan going, right? Like teach me something or get some action items going. So then we work in a totally different way, where it's more, that's more action oriented versus process oriented with psychotherapy.
Yeah. So interesting. You and I do such similar work around that, and it's something that I feel strongly about. And then I see it like a three-legged stool, and I add the spiritual piece too, which I know you do. And what I mean by spirituality is an authentic connection with that internal knowing. And I know you and I have had conversations about this, and I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit to that, because I know one of your great gifts is that you don't, and you can speak to this, but I know that you're a person that is committed to not having the answer for your client, but to assisting them and looking within for those answers. And that maybe that would be the spiritual leg, I guess, if you will, of this three-legged stool.
Yes.
How do you work with that? What happens? What are some, even if you have, I know we don't talk about our specific clients, but if you have examples of how that has worked, I would love to hear it.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up, because we were talking about this before, that a lot of clients come and see me and they're saying, what's wrong with me? And can you fix it? And that's always a difficulty to start with, because that's coming in with this deficit model, like there is something internally not okay and you have all the answers. And that's not really the way I work. The way I work is I'm there facilitating someone to find the answers within, that we all have the wisdom. We all have the ability to heal. And sometimes we just need a little bit of guidance to get there. So that's where I come in, is that I have the training in order to help move there, but I don't have the answers. And that's the funny thing about this, right? I'm the love therapist, right? But I don't have all the answers for somebody. I want to help them find their truth, their answers in the session.
Well, and what a beautiful change in paradigm, right? First of all, we're off the hook, right? It's like, isn't it a great thing to know that I don't have to have the answers?
Yes,
But what I want to actually speak a little further to what you said, because that's so powerful to me, to be able to see a client and recognize that they're not broken, right? And that fundamental shift in perspective alone changes everything that happens in that room.
Yeah.
I know that from my own experience on both sides of that. And I know what happens when I am willing and able to be open-hearted enough to see that client as whole and perfect. And boy, does it change the equation, right?
Right. Well, it's a healing experience for them, right? That someone is actually seeing them and sees them as a dynamic, beautiful person right there, perfect as they are, right? But struggling nonetheless, right? But that's a healing experience to have. We're so privileged to be in that role, that we can be there with someone, that we are there unconditionally caring for them and accepting them.
Yes, indeed. And I'd love to, I mean, we could do a whole show on that specific topic. So maybe you'll come back at some point soon. I would like to switch gears and talk about the work you do with couples. Just in general, like, I don't know if I'm going to say, I guess I could ask again, what would one expect? But who do you find coming to you for couples counseling? And then also, if you could share anything of your personal experience.
Absolutely.
If you've ever struggled in any kind of relationship.
Yes, I have. So the types of couples that are coming to see me are folks that are really dealing with a lot of frustration, hopelessness, confusion, and they're looking for some support to find out what the next step is, right? And I say the next step because sometimes they're coming to have a good goodbye, and sometimes they're going to find the love again, right? And that I don't have an agenda about that. I want to support them to find what's going to be right for them, which I kind of said before. So couples coming in with a variety of issues, right? There are couples that are coming in where someone has had an affair. There are couples that are coming in who have lost a lot of the intimacy between the two of them. There are couples that are having a lot of communication issues. So in couples therapy, what we're doing is we're kind of assessing some of the issues and problems. We're looking at what are the goals, And then we're working to move forward in whatever way they're wanting to. And that could be learning something new, that could be working together and hearing each other in a different way, or that could be getting clear about what the needs and wants of each partner are.
Mm-hmm. So, are you willing to share some of your own journey around relationships? And I know you're very passionate about really helping couples. I think, what I get from you is you're really passionate about helping couples, see their own inner truth and how they can be a stronger couple, or how they can be present for their own inner knowing, and how that will inform what's next for them as a couple.
Yes.
But I would just love it if you'd be willing to share some of your own personal journey around relationships.
Sure. Yes. The first thing I'd like to just say is that I am not perfect, and that I've had a lot of relationship difficulties. And it's important for me to say that right now, because what I'm doing with my work is not going out there in the community and saying, here, I'm this expert and I have all the answers and I'm going to tell you what to do and I'm perfect. That's not my approach at all. I like that you use the term authenticity a lot. And I believe in being authentic, and I want my clients to find their authenticity too, their own voice. But what I'll say is that for a very long time, I struggled. I was single. I had a period where I was single for 6 years in San Francisco, and then transitioning over here, thinking I'll just move. I will deal with that will help with my loneliness and my connection. I just need a new community. And that didn't work, because the issues were going on in here. There was wounding that I had in my life early on with my family and with my experiences growing up that were really affecting the way that I was able to connect with others. And so I was just going on lots of first dates and really upset, because I just wanted a partner, and I just wanted to be like all the other couples I see walking down the street holding hands. And I really didn't know what to do. And the big shift for me in that area was actually psychotherapy. I had an amazing therapist who I saw for 3 years, who really helped me do some depth work where I could unpack that. And that's not for everybody, but that was just part of my journey. And then eventually finding an amazing partner who I have now. And what I want to say about that too is that we are still going through our ups and downs. That I'm not here with this magical, amazing relationship, even though it totally is. But we have our own things that we're working on. We still get into conflicts, and that's part of being in relationship. But it's really learning, how do I work through that with a partner to grow closer and more intimate?
Well, and I want to go back, if you're willing to, about the piece about authenticity and vulnerability. And that seems so relevant where we're at, I think, as a culture and in our consciousness right now, that many of us are understanding that this deep inner exploration. And I love that you talked about the wounding.
Yes.
Because there's nothing like a relationship or a first date even to bring that up.
Yes, absolutely.
And I totally relate to the many first dates. So congratulations on doing that. And I know that for many of us, like you said, not everyone wants or needs that. But for those of us who really do know that this work is inner first.
Yes.
And I can imagine me coming to you and doing that deep inner work. Because in my experience, when I'm willing to work with that, I don't even really need to look for a partner. It seems like that person, when the time is right, just shows up.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, being vulnerable helps us to connect with ourselves and with others, right? And it's really tricky when we don't have support on how to do that, right? It can be new for a lot of people. And before you asked, well, what does it look like in the room, or what kind of work you're doing? And that's a little hard to answer, because it's different for everybody. Some people are not ready to really go to some difficult places, and I don't push that, right? If they want to do more coaching and more, hey, where can I meet people, and let's do some homework this week of going on this and that date, or I want to work on these things, that's fine. And some people really want to go in. They're saying, I know that every time I go on a date, I'm feeling this, feeling a lot of this, or I'm bringing in this type of person over and over again. And I know that that is something to do with what happened earlier in my life. And so I really like to meet clients where they're at in that journey of where they're ready to go.
Beautiful. You follow the energy, right?
Yeah.
Follow that.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that always comes up in this conversation is the question, why? Well, first of all, it's usually, why do I attract unavailable people?
Right.
And I was a pivotal changing moment for me. I was listening to Marianne Williams, and she did a talk on relationships. And she said something that was really powerful. She said, as soon as you change your language from why do I keep attracting unavailable people to why am I attracted to unavailable people, it's a game changer. And I was like, I was actually on the treadmill listening. It was a long time ago. I think I actually had like a Walkman, and I literally stopped in my tracks. I was like, wow, this isn't about anybody else. This is about me and my desires and my attraction and what I am, really seeking. So I want to know if you can talk a little bit about unavailable people and how you work with that.
Yes. I mean, it's huge. And I've been there too. And I really love that, first of all. I think that's a really cool reframe. But I think that seeking out, being attracted to, or attracting, whatever language you want to use, unavailable people is really normal. And that actually it provides a lot of benefit for that person, because when you're dating someone unavailable, it creates a boundary for you, right? Where, I can only see them this much, or they don't live in the same place as me, so I have my own space, or I can't actually go further in the relationship and I'm not ready to, or I don't actually want to, or I'm not sure. It creates all this space. So just like any other patterns, when we're dating and we're attracting the same type over and over again, there are reasons. And I think it's important to be okay with that as long as you're aware. And that's sort of what the work is about, is knowing, I'm doing this over and over again for some reasons, and then getting to choose. Because you can keep doing that. If you want to keep attracting the same person, that's fine. As long as you're aware. So then you get to say, yeah, I want to keep doing that, or I don't.
And what are some of the tools that you use in your practice to bring awareness to that? Because I know in my own journey, I mean, I had no idea. And I think I shared this with you before. It was like my 5th relationship with someone that was unavailable in a way that was just absolutely, completely unavailable, right? Yeah. And it took me a long time to say, oh, wow, I'm the common denominator here. Right. And it was like this moment, it was kind of an aha moment. So how do you work with people in terms of increasing awareness around their own patterns or their own way they show up in the world? Yeah.
Well, a big way is actually with the body. So the body holds lots of information, holds our emotions, and it has the intuition in there. And a lot of times we get caught up in a fantasy or somewhere in our mind that really helps us move forward in a way that's unaware. So a lot of times I do mindfulness practices where we drop in and we're just listening and paying attention and seeing what comes up. And sometimes there is something that we did not expect. There's a memory, there's an emotion, there's some experience, and that can help you tune in. So that then when you're out there and you're dating, you're starting to recognize that and get into that sensing. This seems like a red flag, or this is right. Yeah, this is good, right? And I can feel that it's good. Yeah. Right? So that's one way, is with the body and with mindfulness. But then processing, talking right through it. Sometimes we need to have another perspective. So I'm there to help bounce off some ideas with them. I'm there to give another perspective. I'm there to lovingly challenge them so that they can then make a decision, because sometimes people are stuck in a little bit of ambivalence, and that's another way we're disconnected from ourselves and what do we truly want. So I can help them with that, with actually bouncing some ideas to get your foot not in both boats, but solidly in one.
Wow. Thank you so much. That's incredible. And I know for many people, we walk around so not in tune with what's really going on, and really our body does know.
Yes.
And sometimes it's as simple as re-experiencing that and going in and finding that place inside that I may not have known was there, and something gets released, right?
Yes.
And then it's just like it gets cleared in a really powerful way, and then I'm willing to be more open and vulnerable. And I love the way you then connected that with being on that first date.
Right.
And being connected, like, ooh, this feels familiar in that way, or this feels really comfortable for me, or in alignment with who I'm here to be.
Yes, absolutely, because there's a lot of ways that we shut down with other people. When we're dating or when we're in a relationship, a lot of people that I work with, they want it so bad that they're going to shut down what they're needing, their perceptions, and are shifted in that space. They're just not in tune. And so then they're moving forward with something that isn't really right for them, or normally they wouldn't accept, but they're going forward with it. And so slowing down and actually coming inward, that is what it's all about in terms of getting the love that you want, getting the relationship you want. Because as you connect more here, you're going to connect more there. And then you get to, that either is going to be really good and yummy and it's going to go somewhere, or you're going to say, this actually isn't the connection I want. I'm going to go somewhere else. So decisions get clearer.
Wow, thank you so much. And also, we're doing that for ourselves and for the other person.
Right.
If I can show up my 100%, well, if I can attempt to show up more authentically every moment and have that real connection, miraculous things happen, whether it's a match or not. Right. So believe it or not, we're actually out of time.
Okay.
It goes quickly,
Goes
right?
real quick, yeah.
So I just want to say thank you so much for being here and for revealing yourself and for telling us about what you're doing. And I just know that you're doing great work with people. And so in closing, I'd love for you to take a few minutes to tell our viewers how to find you. I know that you're on Valentine's Day, you just launched your new site. So why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. And I just want to say also that it's been a real honor to be here. And I really, really believe in and love the work that you're doing. Thank you so much. So you can find me at thelovetherapist.org. And I did a launch on Valentine's Day. It's a pre-launch launch, which means that my website's not completed, but I have a splash page up there. I have a video about my work, and I have a lot of contact with my social media on there. So I'd love to hear from you and connect with you, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Brendan, so much for being a guest on our show. And to everyone out there who is seeking love, one of my favorite quotes is from Byron Katie, and I shouldn't say her name because I'm not going to get the quote right. You know how I am. I give my own version of the quote. But in the seeking of love, I am not recognizing that I already have it and that I already am it. And I know that Brendan in his work is someone that's very committed to being a presence for us experiencing our own love. And what happens when I know that that's the truth? What happens when I know that my nature is love and I have that to express in the world, and then I can find another people or another community of people that are connecting from that place. So thank you very much. Please join us at Awakened Living for an upcoming event. You can find us at awakenedlivingsf.org. Thank you so much, and good night.